What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Shameless Watch Collector. I hope you still have room left in your watch boxes after the 11/11 sale, because we're not done yet. Actually, this will be a great opportunity to buy another watch box, even if you are out of room, because it's Black Friday and Cyber Monday time. This is that time of year where watches that normally feel just out of reach somehow drop into that justifiable, or at least to you, territory, but only if you know where to look. In this video, we're going to go through a bunch of watches that I think are worth keeping your eye on from Amazon and a couple brand sites over Black Friday and Cyber Monday weekend. But you know I'm always going to give you guys something extra. So today, I'm going to give you all the context. I'm going to tell you what these watches normally cost on Amazon and their retail website, what they've dropped to in past Black Fridays, and I'm going to give you a target price for where I would personally feel good pulling the trigger. These are true collection pieces that you can enjoy, rotate, and be proud of. A couple of disclaimers before we get into it. Prices move constantly on Amazon. I don't control them, and these aren't guarantees. Think of these again as price targets. If it doesn't hit these lows, don't yell at me, yell at the Amazon algorithm. Every watch I mention will be affiliate linked in the description below. So without further ado, it's time to shift our focus from AliExpress to Amazon and go deal hunting. Let's get into it. Let's start things off with Citizen. This brand has some of the biggest gaps between what they say things cost and what Amazon hits during Black Friday. First up is a watch you probably recognize, the ProMaster Dive Eco Drive. A watch that we've all seen a million times in photos, but when we finally get it on our wrist, it clicks why people won't shut up about it. You're getting proper dive specs with this one, a stainless steel case measuring at 44mm across and only 12mm thick, 20mm lugs and a screw-down case back, and a unidirectional elapsed time bezel on top. A pretty chunky watch on paper, but the short lugs help it be far more versatile. You've got that unmistakable ProMaster case with the big crown guards and bezel grip, anti-reflective mineral crystals, and big luminous hands and markers that make it stupidly easy to read this underwater or in the dark. Inside is Citizen's EcoDrive E168 solar quartz movement, which means it's powered by any light using a solar cell under the dial, and it stores that energy in a rechargeable cell. Once it's fully charged, you're looking at months of power reserve, even if you toss it in a drawer, and you never have to crack that case open for a battery swap. Now let's talk pricing on this one. On Citizen's own site, they float around $375 all the way up to $600, depending on the exact model and strap combo. Right now on Amazon, they're sitting around the mid-200s to high 200s, but last Black Friday, some of these dipped below 200 based on my historical tracking. So if you see an EcoDrive ProMaster under 200 this year, I'd seriously consider locking it in. This is the kind of piece you can build a collection around and keep coming back to. If you like the idea of an everyday citizen but don't need a full-on dive watch, the Odin is a really nice middle ground. You're looking at a 41mm stainless steel case, again a very thin 9.7mm thick. It's all brushed and polished with an H-link bracelet and a faceted 60-minute bezel that gives it a proper sport watch feel without going full dive watch. You get a textured dial, applied white indices, and a date window at 3 o'clock, along with 100 meters of water resistance. Inside is Citizen's EcoDrive E111 movement, where again, the sun is this watch's best friend. Price-wise, Citizen's own site has this in the mid-300s range as a list price. On Amazon, it's usually been a $250 watch, if not a little bit more. Right now, it's actually sitting around $189, which is the lowest it's ever been on Amazon. If it dips a little bit further than that on Black Friday is anyone's guess, but if it does, this one is definitely worth a look. Now let's talk about one that you guys have definitely heard of, the Citizen Ciosa, which is basically Citizen's answer to the integrated bracelet hype. People constantly compare this one to the PRX, and a lot of watch enthusiasts actually prefer this one to the PRX, probably because of that unreal price tag. This watch is available in either a 40mm or a 37mm stainless steel case, has that rounded tonneau style silhouette, and an integrated stainless steel bracelet that tapers beautifully. On top is sapphire crystal, as it should. Inside, the Ciosa runs Citizen's in-house caliber 8210 automatic, a 21 joule mechanical movement running at 21,600 beats per hour with about a 40-hour power reserve and a date at 3 o'clock. Citizen charges $380 to $600 for this watch on their website, and it normally hangs out around the mid-300s on Amazon. However, in past Black Fridays, it's gone as low as $265, a great deal for a Ciosa. Also on the pre-owned side, I've seen this watch be holding value surprisingly well for an accessible citizen. So if you've had your eye on this watch, I'd set my price target for anywhere close to $250. Second brand this list, we have Timex. This is where Black Friday starts to feel dangerous, in a good way. Let's start with the one that I think is going to tempt the most people, and one of my personal favorite watches on this list, the Timex Marlin Chronograph Tachometer. This is a proper vintage style chrono that runs about 40mm across and 13mm thick, with a lug-to-lug just under 50. It's a full stainless steel case, domed acrylic crystal, and a clean 3-register quartz chronograph movement, inside with a tachymeter scale around the edge. It comes on a 20mm leather strap that perfectly suits the whole mid-century feel it's going for. But obviously, I love the racing style variants of this watch. If you're a car guy, you see these watches and you immediately tie them to an iconic car. I love it when it feels like someone who equally understands cars and watches designs a watch. This is the type of design I'm a sucker for, as well as little details like the checkered flags on the dial. Timex has these listed around $200 on their own website, and most of the year on Amazon you'll see it hovering around that $175 to $200 range. Last Black Friday though, this watch dropped to around $108, so for me, that's the number. If you see a Marlin chronograph again anywhere near $108 and you like racing chronographs anywhere near as much as I do, I don't think you'll regret picking this one up. Another Timex you should keep your eye on is the Waterbury GMT Diver Style. This is built on the Waterbury traditional GMT platform, so you're looking at a 39mm stainless steel case and about 11.5 thick. You have mineral crystal up top and 100 meters of water resistance. Inside is a quartz GMT movement, so you get your standard hours, minutes, seconds, plus that fourth hand to track a second time zone. Timex prices this around the $200 mark. Right now though, the silicone strap version is sitting around $90-something on Amazon, and the stainless steel bracelet is only a little higher at about $110. That's already Black Friday territory, with the silicone version currently sitting at an all-time low on Amazon. So if you've been wanting a smaller GMT from Timex, those sub $100 prices are exactly when I'd move, especially for the stainless steel bracelet. Now let's visit the Q side of the house for the chronograph that's easy to justify if the price cooperates. This is another 40 by 13mm watch with mineral crystal. You get that retro Q case language. This one has a quartz chronograph movement driving the subdials, and it's just another beautifully designed vintage watch where the bracelet versions bring this whole 70s inspired motorsport vibe together so well. The list price in the Q chronograph is in the mid 200s. I've already found at least one colorway on Amazon for around $169. If Black Friday knocks that down closer to around $125, this is another great option. There's also the Q Timex 1972 World Time. You get this awesome rotating World Time bezel with city names all around the edge. It wears compact, and the whole point is the World Timer aesthetic from the early 70s, from a brand that actually existed in the era that it's referencing. Look to scoop this one up for $100 and $115 instead of $200. And wrapping up Timex is one that's pretty much tradition at this point on Black Friday, the Expedition Scout. A simple quartz 3-hem movement with a date and bright indigo backlight on this field watch. Case material is typically brass with coating, and there's a lot of variety here between the dials and the strap combos. The dials are classic field watch numerals with a 12-24 hour layout. Most of the year these sit somewhere above $50, still a great deal, all depending on the color and strap combo. I looked back at the past few Black Fridays, and there's a pattern where these drop below $30. That's about how much I paid for mine, and I have zero regrets. This is one of my favorite daily watches. Next on the list, we have Seiko. Man, I've been waiting way too long to say that name on this channel. It's about time we talk about these absolute legends. Seiko needs no introduction, and if you don't own one yet, this Black Friday weekend is where you should fix that. Let's start with the current Seiko 5 sports line, specifically the SRPD 5 style cases. Still one of the strongest values in this whole space. On wrist, these come in about 42.5mm across and 13mm thick. They have a stainless steel case, hardlex crystal on the top, and 100 meters of water resistance, along with a unidirectional bezel. Inside is Seiko's 4R36 automatic. This has 21,600 beats per hour, around a 40-hour power reserve, hacking and hand winding, day date at 3 o'clock, and the usual Seiko reliability that people love and abuse for decades. It's exactly what you want in a do-everything, wear-anywhere mechanical. Right now, these Seiko 5 sports pieces usually sit around that $250 to $275 range on Amazon. My price tracking has them dropping to around $175 at their best during Black Friday season. So for me, that's the trigger. If you see a colorway that you like in that $170 to $180 pocket, that's a very strong price for an iconic watch that will get plenty of wrist time. On the other side, we have the SNKK27, which feels like a little time capsule from an earlier era of the Seiko 5. This one runs a little smaller at about 38mm in diameter, 10.5 to 11mm thick. Hardlex crystal up front, the day date at 3, and the crown tucked at 4 o'clock. A classic Seiko 5 DNA. Inside is the older 7S26 automatic. 21 joule, 21,600 beats per hour, about a 40-hour power reserve, the same basic movement that pulled a ton of people into mechanical watches in the first place. This is already sitting at a low price on Amazon, just around $125 for certain colors, but Black Friday lows have gone as low as $75. If you can get a brand new with papers automatic Seiko for $75 or under, do it and thank me later. The SNKP 21J1, the Eastern Arabic dial Seiko 5. It's a bigger watch at around 22mm in diameter and 12 thick. This is a proper example of a Seiko 5 with that black dial and Eastern Arabic numerals that give it a ton of character. You still get the day date at 3 o'clock and you have lume on the hands and markers, as well as a display case back so you can see that 7S26 automatic. Right now it's sitting at around $185 on Amazon, already a great price. But last Black Friday, it dipped to around $125. Do you see this specific watch around that price this year? That's a really strong pickup for something that looks and feels completely different from the rest of the Seiko 5 crowd. Then there's the SNK L45. Sort of the dressier cousin to the SNKK 27. On paper, the size and specs are similar, at 38mm across and just over 10 thick, with the stainless steel Harlex crystal and the same 7X26 automatic movement inside. The SNK L45, though, leans into the dress office look with a smooth bezel, cleaner dial, and a slimmer profile on the wrist. Regarding price, I've seen this floating around $135 to $180 on Amazon, but on past Black Fridays, it's gone all the way to the $50 to $60 range. I shouldn't have to explain to you guys how much of a no-brainer that would be. And let's wrap it up with the Seiko SNKE03, which is kind of a stealth option in this group. Specs on this one are 36 to 37mm in diameter and roughly 12 thick. Has a stainless steel case and a bracelet that's often in black PVD. 50 meters of water resistance, and again, the trusty 7X26 automatic inside with a day date and display back. So you're getting a mid-size, slightly dressy, and slightly undercover Seiko 5. It's the kind of watch that looks low-key at a glance, but anyone who knows watches will immediately know that you're wearing a Seiko 5. Right now, it's sitting around $150, but last Black Friday, it did slip below $100. I would feel guilty if I didn't mention the Tissot PRX. This is the kind of modern blueprint for that integrated bracelet, 70s-inspired sport watch, in the more affordable Swiss lane. The Black Friday opportunities seem to be around the 40mm quartz PRX instead of the Powermatic, which isn't hugely surprising. The case is 40mm wide and about 10.4 thick. It has a 39.5mm length and only 12mm lug width because of the integrated bracelet design. It's all 316L stainless steel, tonneau style case, and you get that flat, brushed top surface that gives it a proper late 70s feel. Up top, you get scratch-resistant sapphire crystal, and it's rated 100 meters of water resistance. Inside is the Swiss caliber F06.115, with an end-of-life indicator, so the seconds hand will start jumping in 4-second steps when the battery is low. As most of us know, the PRX is a properly spec'd out, gorgeous piece, and it's pretty obvious why it's so popular. MSRP on this right now is around $550 from Tissot. On Amazon, around $450. The interesting part is on Black Friday, this seems to consistently settle in at around $275. So if you've been PRX curious and you want this Swiss branded integrated bracelet watch, that mid 200s to high 200s window is where I'd be looking this Black Friday. Let's talk about Casio. Every affordable watch enthusiast loves this brand, me included, so I'm excited to show you guys what I found. The first one I think you should keep an eye on is the newer and ultra popular Casio Edifice EFB 109D series. You're looking at a 38.5mm stainless steel case with about 9.2mm in thickness. Up top is sapphire crystal and 100 meters of water resistance. You have a simple 3-handed Japanese quartz movement with a date at 3 o'clock. It's just a simple, clean, modern everyday piece. Price-wise, I'm kinda speculating here. Since this is such a newer watch, it's hard to go off historical data. What I have seen is that it's been fluctuating a lot throughout the year, even going below $100 at a few points. There is a chance this goes somewhere around the $75 mark. If you want something a little sportier and slightly busier, the Edifice EFB 730D is a chronograph to take a look at. Case-wise, it's about 40mm wide and 11mm thick with 100 meters of water resistance. Again, you get the stainless steel case and bracelet and sapphire crystal. This is a quartz chronograph with a second chrono, 3 subdials, and a date winnow. So full motorsport chrono vibes without the thickness of a big diver. This one has been sitting around $165 pretty much everywhere. However, I've seen it go below $100 already this year at Amazon. And then there's the Edifice EFB 108D, specifically in the white dial and the black. I've seen the black dial slide to already $93 in past Black Fridays. So if you see it below that, maybe even in the low 70s, this is a really tempting watch, especially with materials like sapphire, 100 meters of water resistance, and that beautiful Edifice case. On the more classic side, the Casio MTP series is gaining popularity by the day. Getting a good price on these models during Black Friday is going to be all about looking for specific dial colors. This watch comes in at about 41mm across and around 9.6mm thick. It uses a stainless steel bracelet and mineral glass on top, powered by a 3-hand quartz with a date window, and roughly a 3-year battery life. Right now, the white dial version is around 60, but I've already seen it go as low as 35 in past Black Fridays. As well as the blue dial version currently hovering already around 40, this one could go even lower. Then you have the MTP B145. This is a smaller piece, and the yellow dial specifically I've seen hovering the lowest this year already. This one is 35mm in diameter and 7mm thick. You'll also get a stainless steel case and bracelet and 50 meters of water resistance, along with mineral glass and a simple 3-hand quartz. It's been trending downward in price, so I could see this one going well below 50. Rounding out the Casios are 2 absolute cult classics that you just have to mention: the AE1200 and the MDV106. First, let's talk about the AE1200 WH, the famous Casio Royale. This is one of those watches where the spec sheet and the price don't seem to belong on the same product. Case size is about 42.1mm and roughly 12.5 thick, but because it's all resin, it only weighs 39 grams. You get 100 meters of water resistance, world time with that little world map, multiple alarms, stopwatch, countdown timer, LED backlight, and a 10-year battery. Right now, they're only around 43 on Amazon, which is already ridiculous, but last Black Friday, they dipped under $20, around $17. So if you see an AE1200 anywhere near that price, that's just a no-brainer. And then there's the Casio MDV106, the Duro. The watch that if it's good enough for Bill Gates, then it better be good enough for you. This is the right to entry in the dive watch space in my opinion. Specs are straightforward, but so strong. 44mm stainless steel case, so this is a big boy. Mineral crystal, and 200 meters of water resistance. This is a proper diver. You have a screw-down crown, a unidirectional dive bezel that feels incredibly tight and premium, and a quartz module, the Casio 2784, that just runs and never gives up. Right now, they're priced around $70, but this year they've already hit as low as $33, which is just nonsense for a 200-meter water-resistant stainless steel diver from a real respected brand. Adding the Duro to your collection for anything in that mid-30s to low 40s window is where it becomes one of the easiest decisions on this list. This is the dive watch that I still hold as the standard to compare all other affordable dive watches to, and one that still gets considerable wrist time from me. Now let's look at the Casio brand in G-Shock. The GA100 is the classic oversized analog digital G-Shock a lot of people picture when they think of this company. It's a 51.2mm wide resin case, about 55mm lug to lug, and around 16.9mm thick. You get 200 meters of water resistance and the usual G-Shock shock resistance and anti-magnetic protection. Inside, you have the 5081 module, which has analog hands, digital readouts, world time, a stopwatch, a countdown timer, multiple alarms, and an LED light. Right now on Amazon, these sit for around $110, but last Black Friday they slipped to $59, so that's the number I would keep in my head. And then, unsurprisingly, we have the GA2100, also known as the Casio, which has pretty much become the default recommendation for people who want a slimmer, more wearable G-Shock. This is a 45.4mm across and 11.8mm thick thanks to the carbon core guard case structure. 200 meters of water resistance, shock resistance, and you get the 5611 module inside. It wears way smaller than the numbers suggest because of the shape and how flat it sits. There are so many different color variants for this watch, and you're going to want to check them all on Amazon through all the different listings to hunt for that crazy low price, which I think is anything south of $60 for this watch that normally comes in over $100. I left links to a bunch of different colors in the description below. Believe it or not, next up is Bulova. This is where Black Friday starts to look and feel a little unhinged. First, let's talk about the Bulova Classic Sudden Quartz. This is your dressier option here. Specs on this are usually from 40 to 42mm. It has a stainless steel case and bracelet. You get a quartz movement with a day-date complication, with applied markers, textured dials. Right now I'm seeing these at around $265 to $300 on Amazon, but last Black Friday I tracked these at $132. So I would keep my eye on this one just in case, because $130 for a brand new Bulova is quite a steal. And then there's the Marine Star Series B, which is just a sexy dive watch, plain and simple. You get 200 meters of water resistance, a screw-down crown, and a mix of brushed and polished surfaces. Inside is a 3-hand with date quartz movement, and you also get applied indices, strong lume, and a Bulova logo on the dial. Right now, these retail around $320, if not more. But last year on Amazon, this dropped to $150, and in 2022, it was all the way down to $85 on Black Friday. I would not think twice if I can find this watch for anything close to that. For the penultimate brand on this list, we have Nixon. Alright, so I'm going to run through these last two brands fairly quickly. First up is the Nixon Time Teller. I'm pretty sure most of you have already seen this watch before, and maybe it was your first watch. This is a compact 37mm in diameter watch that's only 8 to 9mm thick. So it uses a simple 3-hand quartz movement, a stainless steel case and bracelet with a massive amount of color and finish options. Nixon asks $150 for this watch, which I personally would not pay. However, on Black Friday, it consistently drops to around the $75 mark. That I would pay. And then we have the Nixon Sentry. This was actually my first watch about a decade ago, or my first real watch, I should say. This one's a bigger one at 42mm in diameter and about 11mm thick. It has 100 meters of water resistance, a stainless steel case and bracelet, mineral crystal, and again a quartz 3-hand movement. It's just a really clean looking and respectable watch made with good materials and a lot of attention to detail. I actually still have this watch in my collection and it still does get some wrist time. Nixon asked $325 for this watch, which again, I would not pay. But historically, it's been landing around $175 during Black Friday. That is a good price for this watch, and I don't think you'd regret it. And finally, let's wrap this list up with Activa/Invicta. The watch featured on the first ever video on this channel, this one still holds a special place in my heart. Their GA2100 Homage is a 45.5mm digital chunky and absolutely not pretending to be anything other than what it is watch. Right now, these are $24.99. If you guys remember, I paid $19 for mine on Amazon. Last month on Amazon, they were $49. They're about $49.90 on the Invicta website when they're in stock, which they aren't, because of course they're sold out right now. And that's kind of the point. You never know with this thing. The company is a disaster, the branding is a mess, you should absolutely manage your expectations. But I did like the watch for the price. And when I say that, I mean $19. So if it's at $24.99 right now, who knows how low it's going to go during Black Friday. And genuinely, it could be anything. I linked a bunch of different colors in the description below. I would check them out. This watch is worth the very low prices they're occasionally asking. But if you want to get even weirder, there's a card style Activa Invicta that I just found, and this one made me laugh. And it's also only around $24.99. Like I've said in previous videos, this style is so popular right now. So for another really low price, if it's anything like the 2100 Homage was, again, worth a shot if you can find it for $20 or below. I would check those out, and I thought it would be a fun thing to end this list with, and certainly the cheapest thing on this list, which is what I like to do. And that's going to wrap up this list. It was fun to highlight some of the bigger brands in the world, and take a step away from AliExpress for a bit. We'll definitely be back there as their Black Friday sale just also launched, and the deals are just about as good as the 11/11 sale was. But I hope you guys found something that you loved on this list, and make sure to check the description for all the links to the watches that were featured in this video. And remember to check back just about every day, as the prices on Amazon, like I said, are constantly changing, especially this time of year. But good luck out there, and I hope you find that next treasure. Please like, comment, and subscribe, as we will be giving away a free watch at 1,000 subscribers. Thank you all so much for your support. It truly means the world to me, and I'll see you all for the next video. Shameless Watch Collector, signing off. And just remember, it's not that serious.